I will never talk to a doctor about my general health ever again. If I break my arm, I'm gonna go see a doctor. If I need surgery, I'm gonna go see a doctor. My general health, never again.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat. Wow. It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we gotta do. You gotta hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. Elevate more in 2024. Elevate more in 2024. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. Don't forget to hit the like button, man. I'm just saying. But we back with another TikTok joint. There's some stuff in this video, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Buckle up. There's some stuff in this video. But if you make it to the end of this one, man, I need you to draw a real one for real. Also, do your own research. Do your own research, man. That is very important. And I also got a TikTok playlist of all these videos if you want to go through and watch them, binge watch them if you got some time. If you at work and if you're a truck driver, you over the road, if you just at the crib chilling, want to just have something to watch, check it out. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, what's popping? Let's get it.
If someone served you human, you obviously wouldn't eat it, correct? You would think, but I'm here to tell you that if you've ever eaten a hot dog, you are a cannibal. Clear Labs examined 345 hot dogs to find that roughly 2% of them contained human DNA,
2%?
with 2/3 of that human DNA being in vegetarian hot dogs.
Vegetarian hot dogs got human. Come on, man.
Share this video with a vegan because they're not excluded from this. Clear Labs actually found a black bean burger which did not have any black beans in it. And it's not just hot dogs. We know hot dogs are nasty. This lab also examined hundreds of burgers from Northern California to find rat and human DNA everywhere. Ground beef, chicken nuggets, and taco filling must include 35% actual meat and 65% filler. This is directly from the FDA. More than half of the meat in ground meat can be made up of chemicals, cornstarch, water, soy, silicon dioxide, food coloring, really whatever they want if they're getting away with human DNA. Now, most of this human DNA comes from hair, right? Loose hair is going to get in the food. It's almost inevitable. In fact, they actually are fully aware of this and they allow certain amounts of human hair in food. But that's not always the case. This Canadian farm, the owner actually disposed of a body within the food chain. He was charged with 15 accounts of homicide and would actually hide their bodies in with the ground meat. Where the heck's the rest of her body? This is vile. When you're dealing with this much volume in any given day, it's gotta be very easy to just throw a leg in here, an arm in here, and then it just gets dismembered and put with all the normal ground meat. Once you're dealing with giant vats of stuff, I guess it gets pretty difficult to determine what's human and what's not. Let me know, are you ever gonna eat ground meat again?
No, not me.
Did you know that heroin, the highly addictive illegal drug, was originally developed and sold by Bayer, like the company that makes aspirin? Yes, this is a real fact. Back in the late 1800s, morphine was the leading painkiller, but it was, and is, highly addictive. Doctors wanted a less addictive painkiller, so they took morphine, made a small chemical modification, and got this. They found that this compound was so powerful and heroic that they named it heroin, and started selling it. It was literally just an over-the-counter medicine for a while, but then they realized it was like super addictive. And now it's just totally illegal. Anyway, follow if you want to stock up on great science facts and stories to tell at parties.
That is wild.
Did you know that Subway used to use packaged pre-sliced meat, and now they've apparently switched to slicing the meat fresh for you themselves? But the other day I went in there to get a sub and I noticed something very strange. You see, before, when they were using the old, apparently less superior meats, you could see the meats as you were making your selection, and you could say, I want chicken, or I want steak, and you could actually see the meat in front of you. But now that they're freshly slicing the meat themselves, they've got this big-ass metal cover over the meat, and you can't see it. And the question that I ask you, what are you hiding, Subway? Show us the meat. Why can't we see it? You were all ready to show us the meat when it was the prepackaged bad, not as good meat. But now that you're freshly slicing it, you're trying to hide the meat from us. It's a conspiracy. And I promise you, I will get to the bottom of it.
Get to the bottom of that meat, man. Pause.
What I'm about to show you is completely legal and completely true.
Plastic and all, don't even matter. Plastic, cardboard boxes, pallets, everything's grounded into this right here.
They fired me today for spreading the truth. Should I
They
post
send
it?
this stuff off to be eaten by the hogs, and then the hogs are killed, and then we eat them.
So now this just put together a viral video showcasing a TikToker that exposed how plastics are getting into pig feed. Of course, he was fired for it. In more than half of the states in the United States, it is completely legal to put plastic in animal feed. That means that they grind up entire packages of food with styrofoam, plastic, saran wrap, whatever it might be, and turn it into a dust that is then fed to pigs and then fed to you. What do you think all that plastic in our bloodstream is doing to us?
This stuff is out of control.
These are day-old chicks at a hatchery. In the egg industry, male chicks who are seen as worthless because they can't lay eggs are killed in a macerator, a high-speed grinder. Workers force live chicks into a funnel. The chicks are pulled into the center between the blades.
No way.
And ground up as these ducklings were. Macerators are also used in the meat industry to grind up sick or injured chicks and unwanted ducklings and baby turkeys.
Oh my goodness.
No matter what a label in the grocery store may say, egg and meat production is cruel. Please go vegan.
Jeez. That was very disturbing.
Over 85% of the grass-fed beef in the American market is imported product, not raised in America. Isn't that nuts?
The worst part is that imported beef is legally labeled product of the USA.
Stop.
How's that?
If value is added in this country, it's a product of the USA.
What?
And we compete with it every day.
How do they add value?
If they grind it, slice it, cut it, package it, label it,
Rebox it.
transport it. But the animal, make no mistake, the animal was born, raised, and slaughtered in Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, or 20 other countries.
Bruh, this stuff, man, they just be doing whatever.
Well, I'm gonna tell you the ingredients. GMO, which is genetically modified organisms, steroids, disease-making chemicals, horse meat, worms, and human flesh. They gotta make it stretch. They also clone meat with a cloning process.
GMO.
And they have to keep injecting the cows with steroids and other chemicals.
And they inject the cows, bro. Most of the time, they inject the chicken to make it bigger.
Speed up the growth process. And when we as humans eat this crap, we swell up because we are intaking the same chemicals that the cow carried around. While a lot of young girls on these fast food diets walk around with the bodies of adult women because they too are progressing faster than normal. The same way the cows did. Same product is entering the human body. I am speaking also from personal experience as well.
Look at,
although I worked at a chicken factory a while back and not a...
And even when you go to the store and buy meat, they make it look fresh by spraying chemicals or blood or whatever. They spray, I think, blood on it to make it look more fresh. People still buy that stuff.
Do your own research, bro.
Ham on your supermarket shelves starts out like this. Big lumps of pork meat.
Now, I agree with this. You are not eating the same meat your ancestors ate. This is purely business now. I completely agree with this.
A machine with a dozen syringes injects a liquid into the lumps of pork meat.
This is out of control crazy.
The liquid contains an essential additive. Factory manager Laurent Rouleau shows us. These yellow sacks contain a mixture of salt and sodium nitrite, the additive E250. This additive fixes the pink of the meat during cooking. Otherwise, ham would be the color of roast pork. The big problem is that sodium nitrite is believed to be a danger to public health. The additive is suspected of playing a role in the development of colorectal cancer.
Wow. Do your own research, man.
Uh-oh, the beef industry's at it again. Have you seen this new carnivore study circulating around? The study is being circulated by Sean Baker, everybody's favorite carnivore influencer. But is there more to it? These are some pretty huge benefits of the carnivore diet, but let's dive into what the study actually says. Okay, so lie number one, even though Sean is claiming that this is a Harvard study, it is not a Harvard study. Even though 2 of the doctors are part of Harvard Medical School that participated, this was done by a hospital in Boston. So how did they conduct the study? Oh, it's a social media survey. Self-report. And where did they get them from? Oh, apparently carnivore subreddits and Facebook groups. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, and the kicker to the whole thing, this is not actually based on any clinical science or studies. This is literally just self-reporting of people's ideas of their health benefits.
What?
It even says not to rely on it. Oh, and my favorite part of it all, Sean conveniently forgot to disclose that he was actually involved with this study. Wait, the guy that's made his entire career off of profiting off of this BS?
The propaganda.
What's a piece of information that you learned that feels illegal to know?
That the World Health Organization classifies processed meats as a level 1 carcinogen. Processed meats include ham, bacon, salami, sausages, hot dogs, beef jerky, things like that. A level 1 carcinogen means we have data to prove that it definitively increases your risk of cancer and causes cancer. In the case of processed meats, it specifically increases your risk of colon cancer and stomach cancer. What else is a level 1 carcinogen, you might ask? Well, alcohol, for starters.
Cigarettes, I think.
Tobacco, radium, asbestos, plutonium, arsenic. Also, being a firefighter. So, shout out to firefighters. Thank you for your service. Make sure to go get your checkups. So, if you're into conspiracy theories, maybe this is one you should look into. The data proves that this is what's dangerous. Not vaccines or any of that other stuff that has no data to prove they're dangerous. This does, yet nobody's talking about it. Why do you think that is?
You go to Whole Foods, for example, they just spray the meat pink. And this has happened to me many times. I remember when I used to buy meat from Whole Foods, the meat would be brown and rotten on the inside, and it would be pink on the outside. And that was because they sprayed it. They colored it so they could resell it. And I think it was White Oaks Pastures who talked about this. That they stopped selling their meat at Whole Foods, and they were still selling meat under the name White Oak Pastures, even though he discontinued from having his meat in Whole Foods. And he was saying, this is crazy, that the meat that comes into Whole Foods could be coming from anywhere. They'll rewrite a name, put something else on there, and you think you're buying something from Whole Foods that's from this farm, but it's actually not even from that farm. So talk about a bait and switch right there. And then they charge you a premium. Let's say $20, $30 a pound, and you think you're getting grass-finished steaks, and then you find out that you're getting steaks from a farm that is munching on Monsanto's corn farm that just turned into grass. Support your local farmer and know where your food comes from. Go to the farmer's market, be aware of these things, and ask questions.
I don't know how they can get away with this stuff.
The chicken industry refers to these birds as broilers. They're genetically manipulated to grow abnormally fast, and in just mere weeks, these baby birds will be the size of adult chickens and shipped to slaughter. The misery these birds endure in those few weeks may shock you.
Have you heard about the pig poop crisis? Industrial pig farming is causing huge ecological issues in America right now. When pigs are raised indoors, their waste falls through small slats in the floor, then gets pumped into adjacent lagoons. As you fly over an industrial pig farm, you'll often spot this muddy brown patch just next to the hog houses. That's all poop. At industrial farms, pigs can generate as much as 10,000 pounds of waste per day, which all gets concentrated and stored here, right next to the pigs' living areas. And when this lagoon overflows, that sludge is released into surrounding land, causing foul smells and dangerous outbreaks of contamination. On pasture, however, waste management is an easy, natural process. Because the pigs are moved frequently, they only leave behind small amounts of waste in each pasture. Rather than overwhelming the land with biohazardous material, this gentle and even distribution of waste serves to fertilize native plants, enrich the soil, and strengthen the land, without unsightly lagoons of pure poo or the offensive smells that accompany them.
We have all been vaccinated. Bro, they doing the chicken dirty, bro.
There's a huge weight of empirical evidence showing that farming is by far the greatest cause of habitat destruction, of wildlife loss, of extinction, of land use, which is perhaps the most important environmental metric of all, of soil degradation, of freshwater use, and one of the greatest causes of climate breakdown, of water pollution and of air pollution. So it's not just a matter of opinion, this is the industry which comes top of the list of all damaging human activities. Wow. Now, of course we need it.
Except what you haven't mentioned there is that over that millennia, we humans have figured out ways to successfully feed more and more and more people. Food production is a success story.
Absolutely. It's been an astonishing success. In fact, almost too much of a success. We produce roughly twice as many calories as we need, but a huge amount of that is wasted by being channeled through livestock, which is a very inefficient use of calories, or biofuels, and then some of it is just wasted. So we've got this tremendously productive system, but it deeply threatens Earth systems on which we also depend entirely for our survival, and which itself depends upon. Agriculture depends on a habitable planet and is already being hit by a series of climate shocks, water shocks, soil shocks, which agriculture is driving as much or more than any other industry.
Modern factory farms, I've worked on them. There's nasty, especially egg farms. People eating regular eggs, I'm like, dude, I've taken people to a factory egg farm. You'll almost vomit from a mile away. You'll smell it. It's insane. Look, I eat meat and stuff. I respect vegans that talk about animal cruelty, but I draw the line. Modern factory farms, how they raise eggs is cruel. They put 9 chickens in a cage so small the chickens can't even turn around. You don't have to be an animal rights lover to be like, that's fucked up. My farm, all my egg-laying chickens, they never see the inside of a factory. They're out on grass every single day forever, except in the winter sometimes for the snow. We put them in a big greenhouse that they love. But anyway, hot dogs. Be careful. Chicken McNuggets, hell no. Never. Don't give them to your kids. People give them to their kids.
Most people think organic means chemical free. Organic farmers are allowed to use chemicals. The USDA or FDA, whoever regulates that, have deemed those chemicals safe for humans, but they're not safe for the microorganisms in the soil. Microorganisms in the soil, in other words, healthy soil, is essential. So organic farmers can use chemicals. They can use manufactured fertilizers. Most people don't know that. So we're actually kind of making a statement, not in opposition to organic, because conventional farmers use even worse chemicals that are not safe for humans. But we don't want to use, this farm is 100% chemical free.
Bro, where's your farm at, bro? Where is his farm at? Somebody in the comments, let me know where this guy farm is.
TikTok might take this down because this one,
but he could be lying too. Shit, I don't know.
Woman is about to reveal something that Big Pharma doesn't want you to know. Listen carefully.
This amino acid packs a powerful punch for things like anxiety, ADHD, lack of focus, and racing thoughts. It gives us a sense of a relaxed focus. That's why it can be ideal for people who have anxiety with scattered thinking, or people who have ADHD and lack of concentration. For some, taking this before bed can help to turn off that overthinking that prevents them from falling asleep.
So the supplement she's talking about is L-theanine, and like she said, this can be really helpful for reducing stress and anxiety levels, improving focus and relaxation, and also helping sleep. So in other words, this can be a really helpful natural supplement for people with things like anxiety and ADHD. And the craziest part is, if you pair L-theanine with other cognitive supplements like huperzine A and alpha GPC, not only can this be great for things like stress and anxiety, but this can be really helpful for things like focus, awareness, alertness, memory, and overall brain function. And if you're wondering why Big Pharma wouldn't want you to know this, do you really think Big Pharma wants you to know about natural supplements that can actually help you get better that they can't profit from? If you want to try a potent blend of all 3 of these natural supplements, feel free to check it out directly on our page.
another passing out like you've never seen before. It is the until proven otherwise. Aortic dissection, atrial fibrillation, other arrhythmias. Cardiac arrest in the absence of myocarditis has been described with the cardiovascular domain of damage in the human body from the is substantial, more than anything we've ever seen with cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. The second major domain is neurologic disease, stroke, both ischemic and hemorrhagic, Guillain-Barré syndrome, ascending paralysis that can lead to death, which it has led to death with messenger RNA, agreed to by all of our regulatory agencies, small fiber neuropathy, numbness and tingling, ringing in the ears, headaches. These are common. Third major domain, blood clots. Blood clots like we've never seen before. The spike protein is the most thrombogenic protein we've ever seen in human medicine. It's found in the blood clots. The spike protein causes blood clots. Blood clots larger and more resistant to blood thinners than we've ever experienced in human medicine. I have patients with blood clots now going on 2 years, and they are not dissolving with conventional blood thinners due to these. We can't get these out of the body. We can't get the messenger RNA or the spike protein out of the body, as is continually produced. Fourth and last domain, immunologic abnormalities. Induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia and multisystem inflammatory disorder are early acute syndromes, well described, published. They have their own acronyms, all agreed to by the regulatory agencies. So all of you in the room and all of you listening online are asking, is it me? Is it my family member? Is it my loved one? Who is going to be the next person to drop after? We've seen cardiac arrest now 2 years after these shots. 2 years. I'm the senior author on the largest autopsy study ever assembled of death after worldwide. We searched the literature, 600 papers, all the clinical findings. We reviewed them with contemporary knowledge, experts in pathology and clinical medicine. Our conclusion, 73.9% of the deaths after are due to the They are due to the when it's suspected myocarditis, in a second paper, of which I'm the senior author, it's 100% of the time. It's due to not respiratory illness. We are seeing now a third false narrative. The first false narrative was that the virus is unassailable, we have to stay in lockdown and be fearful. The second false narrative is take a vaccine, it's safe and effective. The third false narrative now is it's not the causing these problems, it's COVID that we saw back in 2020 causing all these problems in 2023. Don't fall for the false narrative. The medical literature at this point in time is compelling. The Bradford Hill criteria for causality have been fulfilled. The are causing this enormous wave of illness.
Wow.
Now, could it be you and your family member? A few important papers to finish.
Hey, if you got the shot and you had any type of complications after, tell us your story in the comments, man. If you got family members or friends that got it and started having complications or any type of thing that was outside of the norm, put it in the comments, man. That stuff is crazy to hear, but do your own research too.
It's really hard for me to consider that someone might actually be suppressing cures. And cancer has run through my family like a raging river. I found out that it's all about patents. If a pharmaceutical company can patent and make money from treatment, especially one that we have to keep on using, then that's what we get. Otherwise, we don't even hear about it. It's not just Rife who got shut down. Reen Case had an old Indian Ojibwe formula that was effective. Harry Hoxsey and Max Gerson had natural remedies that worked. But you know, if you go and you look them up, the AMA makes them sound like complete quacks. And that's where following the money has been so helpful, Because the same powers who control the AMA and their research and funding control the pharmaceuticals. So there's a multi-trillion-dollar financial incentive to suppress cures that can't be patented. Knowing that cures exist has not taken away the anguish I feel from losing so many people I love to cancer. It's given me something really satisfying to do with the pain. And I believe when we take the love and devotion that we have for everyone who's died and who will die unnecessarily and direct it to developing and getting these cures out to people who need them, we can break this cancer legacy and heal.
Cures, though, they got to be suppressed.
This is the biggest scam on the earth. It is just the biggest scam on earth. I mean, there's a war on protein right now that I don't understand, because muscle is our metabolic currency, right? It's an organ. Right. It's like our skin is an organ, but our muscle is an organ too. And there's something called sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle wasting. And sarcopenia is directly tied to all-cause mortality, because the weaker our musculature and the greater the fat to muscle ratio, the higher the incidence of all-cause mortality, the less mobile we are, the more prone we are to joint injury and whatnot. If you look at the NFL season after they came back from COVID, you had the highest number of non-contact injuries in the history of the league.
Right.
Now, why is that? Because we took a huge break from conditioning.
People weren't moving.
Yeah, people weren't moving, and then all of a sudden they moved a lot. And we had, I mean, all of a sudden you heard people growing PCLs, posterior cruciate ligaments, which you don't ever hear about in sports, or very, very rarely. So ACLs, MCLs, lateral collaterals, you had all kinds of hip and rotary injuries in the ankles and the knees, because the musculature had been compromised from taking time off.
Wow.
Most diseases have this one thing in common, and most doctors never even mention it or talk about it. I see this multiple times a day in my practice. This one thing, it's adrenal weakness. The adrenal glands are highly stressed to the max. Today, we are stressed, and stress is one of the number one causes of disease. It causes issues in the mind, it causes issues in the body. What happens is when you're stressed combined with over caffeine consumption and having too much stress going on in your life, it taxes the adrenals. So adrenal fatigue sets in. And what happens is when the adrenals are fatigued, the adrenals can't produce the neurotransmitters that they need for the rest of the body. So what happens is the adrenals now sit on top of the kidneys. Now the kidneys don't function correctly. They're not functioning as much as they should. Guess what happens then? The lymphatic system gets shut down. When the lymphatic system gets stagnant and gets built up, guess what? The lymphatic system is the sewer system of the body. Think about this. When the sewer system in your house gets backed up, guess what happens? There's shit, nasty stuff everywhere. Same way in the body. So when you get the lymphatic system backed up, all because the adrenals were weak, now disease starts to build up in the body. Now stress builds up in the body. Now acids and mucus and oxygen is deficient in the body. That, my friends, is the root cause of all disease. And when the adrenals go down, it's like a domino effect. All of the rest of these things are always going to take place.
The body is connected for sure.
I will never talk to a doctor about my general health ever again. If I break my arm, I'm going to go see a doctor. If I need surgery, I'm going to go see a doctor. My general health, never again. None of them know what they're talking about. They're all full of shit. All they know is to put you on pills and put you on medicine. That's all they know.
Every single drug you take over the counter or prescribed is going to kill some good bacteria in your gut. It's also going to damage your liver. These are the side effects of taking drugs. Look at the long list of them, even the over-the-counter stuff. So we're inundating ourselves with things that are interfering with healthy gut.
Even the drugs you take over the counter.
If you killed 60,000 people with your company makes peanut butter, and that peanut butter killed 60,000 people, they'd be like, you gotta stop making peanut butter. But with the drug companies, they're like, oh, your experimental drug where you lied about all the tests killed 60,000 people? Well, we're gonna need a small portion of the money that you made as a fine. Like Vioxx. Vioxx made somewhere around $12 billion. It killed somewhere between 50 and 60,000 people, and they had to pay somewhere in the range of $5 billion in fines. That's wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
Medications never heal
illness. And the reason for that, they help to suppress symptoms, but then the brain actually pushes back. Essentially, it actually upregulates the amount of excitability in the brain to counterbalance that. So pretty soon, if you're not dealing with the underlying issue, you end up with actually just as much anxiety, but now you're on a medication that you're tolerant and dependent on.
It's like a trap.
I'm Kevin.
And what do you do for a living, Kevin?
I work in the pharmaceutical industry and food and beverage industry. We do some import and export for pharmaceutical packaging, food and beverage packaging.
Okay, and about how much money do you make per year doing this?
The company as a whole, we make around like $4 to $5 million in this part of the globe, and then in the rest of the globe, we make about $20, $30 million.
And what do you pay yourself annually?
I pay the minimum salary for tax purposes, but all the expenses and stuff are on the company, and also, like on average, it's about $1 million in profit. Yeah.
Wow, and how many years experience do you have in your industry?
Like I started this maybe a few years ago, like 3.5 years ago.
Okay, and what type of college education or background do you have, sir?
I have a master's degrees in aerospace engineering and with mathematics as well.
Wow, last question, how'd you even get into this industry? Tell us.
One of my good friends in university, it's his family business. He had some factories and stuff, so he always wanted me to start the operations in Central South America. So I was working in tech, building stuff for Lululemon and other companies, and then I got bored of it, so I joined him and we started it together.
That's simple, huh?
The media is controlled by drug companies and food companies and people who have a lot of money to spend controlling the message that people get. People are capable of being angry about a lot of things. They don't know to be angry about this because they don't know that they're being hurt. In other words, what happens is a cancer patient dies because the treatment was ineffective or actually killed the person. If they knew, they would be angry. And the problem with getting people to know is that if the drug companies pulled their advertising from the newspapers and magazines and television tomorrow, television networks, they couldn't stay in business. So the drug companies are very smart. They have actually put themselves in a position to control what people know about health.
Wow. Smoke and mirrors.
Of the 20th century, the Rockefeller Foundation turned its attention to the acquisition of pharmaceutical companies. They started buying them up in order to profit from their patented drugs. However, in 1912, vitamins were discovered and we began the long process of understanding their health benefits. These pharmaceutical companies had developed and patented drugs to treat a variety of common ailments. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, doctors soon recognized scurvy, beriberi, rickets, and other conditions as specific vitamin deficiencies rather than diseases. Unfortunately for pharmaceutical companies, vitamins cannot be patented. Now, the pharmaceutical cartels were faced with a dilemma. How do you promote the sale of extremely profitable patented drugs over natural remedies like vitamins? The answer? You find a way to control doctors and influence what they prescribe. You might think that this sounds like some sort of science fiction movie, but that's exactly what happened in the United States.
What? Bruh. Come on, man.
Consider avoiding these 4 supplement brands, especially if you want to optimize your health and your wallet. So many supplement brands are actually owned by pharmaceutical companies, and many of these companies use low quality ingredients that have very little beneficial effect, especially on your health. The first one to consider is Centrum. Centrum is owned by a giant pharmaceutical company that has been involved in many fraudulent claims in the past. And unfortunately, they use a lot of cheap quality products like modified cornstarch, a lot of artificial dyes, and it's just not a great product. The second one is Nature Made. And much like Centrum, has been involved in a lot of false advertising, but they typically will use things like soybean oil to derive their vitamin E, and often will use glucose or cornstarch to derive their vitamin C. And lastly, Spring Valley and Kirkland, they are readily available in a lot of your big box stores, but unfortunately, they've been involved in several studies that have shown that they don't actually have in them what they claim to have. And this is obviously a big problem for the consumer. If you read the description down below, I provided a list of things to avoid when you're shopping for new supplements. Because as always, these can be very helpful and very beneficial to your health and wellness. You just have to make sure that you're taking quality supplements. If you found this to be useful, be sure to share with a friend, but otherwise, have a blessed day.
How is that even possible to
Is it true that the birth control pill can change your perception of who you're attracted to for a woman?
Yeah, that is a possibility. Researchers have been finding that the men who were chosen by women as partners that were on hormonal birth control, they had less masculine faces relative to the men who were chosen by naturally cycling women, which is really mind-blowing when you think about it.
What? Women on the birth control, hold on, man. Women on birth control, this type of birth control, chose men with less masculine faces? than women that was naturally cycling? Come on, man.
This is a lot of pills, and these are all the pills that I've been on for the past 3 years, off and on. There's blood thinners, pain meds, anxiety meds, antidepressants, muscle relaxers. There's a whole slew of things here. And I've had to be on all of these pills because of, let's move those to the side, because of these pills. Hormonal birth control pills. Hi, I'm Jenna. Today is my 3-year stroke anniversary, and hormonal birth controls nearly killed me 3 years ago.
Stroke anniversary.
Every year when my stroke anniversary rolls around, I am filled with a lot of different emotions. If you know me and you know my story, I have dealt with really bad PTSD for the past 3 years after my stroke and my pulmonary embolisms. My process to getting diagnosed with my stroke was full of medical gaslighting and no one believing me and everyone telling me I was fine. Plot twist, I wasn't fine. And I paid the price for that for the past 3 years, trying to get my life back on track and figure out what my new normal is. I'm incredibly lucky physically. My physical recovery from my stroke couldn't have gone as well as it did, and for that I am forever grateful. But the emotional trauma it left me with is real. I feel a personal responsibility to spread awareness about what happened to me, because everyone is so shocked when I tell my story that hormonal birth control nearly killed me. They're shocked by it. But the more you read into it, the less common and the less shocking my story is. I don't want to say what happened to me is common, because it's not, but it's a lot less rare than people think. Hormonal birth control pills, if you don't know, the combined pill leads to blood clots, which that's what a stroke is, or the kind of stroke that I had. Pulmonary embolisms, I also had 2 of them, DVTs. It leads to a whole array of problems that a lot of women are not aware about. My issue is not in the fact that hormonal birth control leads to these things, because every medication has side effects, right? And yes, it sucks, and it's a whole nother story that no one really seems to bat an eye, that women are suffering these side effects and nothing's really done about it. My issue is that we are not made aware of it when we get on the pill. A lot of us get on the pill when we are 15, 16, 17 years old. We are kids. We're children. And these are real side effects that happen. The likelihood of the kind of stroke that I had is 1 in 250,000. Wow. It's so rare that for 4 nights straight, emergency room doctors sent me home because they said there's no way that that's happening to her without even testing me for it.
What?
I was the 1 in 250,000, and I nearly paid for it with my life because no one believed me or thought I was worthy of a scan to cross it off the list. Know the side effects of what you're taking, know how to identify that those rare side effects are happening to you, to advocate for yourself, because take it from me, you'll go to the hospital thinking they'll do that for you and they won't. And you could pay for it with your life like I nearly did. I don't say this to stray anyone away from birth control pills. They are a great resource for so many women, but you have to be educated on what you're putting in your body and the potential side effects of that. So when and if those things happen to you, you can better protect yourself.
That's real. That is definitely real.
This girl is showing us in this video her body transformation after getting on birth control. I'm not sure which birth control, but I assume it was a hormonal birth control, most likely the pill. We can see that she put some weight. I'm not really sure the time frame on these pictures, but let's talk about it. Does birth control makes you gain weight? The answer is no. I know sis, but before you fight me, just hear me out. There's always a huge debate on this topic because we have some girlies that gain substantial amounts of weight after being on birth control while others lost weight. And I believe you girls. But based on several studies, apparently there's not necessarily a link between weight gain and hormonal birth control. Studies did find that high levels of estrogen caused by the pill can cause water retention, and we know fluid retention can cause bloating and puffiness. But everywhere you look, you can see that these studies are uncertain, that there's just not enough evidence because it's really hard to put together a group of women taking birth control and another group taking placebo, which is basically a fake pill.
How is it hard to put
Supposedly,
together?
many women don't agree with doing these studies. Basically, there's not enough evidence out there. I don't know. This is all kind of sus. Maybe if we put more funding into doing more research on women's health issues, we could have known the exact answer to this question. But what did you guys think? Did hormonal birth control made you gain weight?
How is it not enough research when so many people taking it?
Control pills have been linked to the deaths of almost 24 women, many of them under the age of 30.
Hi, I'm Katie. This is Simon. I'm 28 years old, and I want to share my personal story, which is really similar to what happened to this girl where she ultimately died. You should watch this full video that I am stitching. So I was dealing with shortness of breath, having heart palpitations. I was feeling just like kind of out of shape and kind of fatigued, and I couldn't really figure out what was going on until one day I went up the stairs. I passed out and lost consciousness, where I went to the ER and I was diagnosed with bilateral pulmonary embolism. So that basically means that I had massive blood clots in both my lungs that were putting strain on my heart, making it hard to beat and deliver air and blood properly. So when I was in the ER, my resting heart rate was 147 beats per minute. Average is 60 to 80. So almost double what should be normal. So once I was admitted, I was in intensive care for 4 days where I had to get a thrombectomy, where they basically take the clots out, and was in temporary heart failure as a result of the strain. And all of this happened because I was on Yaz, actually the generic brand, Gianvi, Vestura. I think I got switched between those two. Lorena is another one. I'll include all the generic names that include this drospirenone ingredient, but it's linked with, like, you're 6 to 16 times more likely to have fatal blood clots by taking this ingredient, which is a synthetic progestin. So, yeah, I'm really lucky to be alive. Doctors are amazed that my fate wasn't worse. And so if you are taking birth control, please check to make sure it doesn't have this drospirenone ingredient. If it does, I cannot encourage you enough to go talk to your gyno about switching to a safer birth control that doesn't have such adverse effects. Be safe out there.
All right, man, that was another TikTok video. That stuff is crazy, man. If you made it this far, definitely you a real one for real. These was a lot of serious topics, talking about the food industry, talking about birth control and side effects, talking about pharmaceutical companies. Do your own research. Like I always say, do your own research, man. But I got a playlist of TikToks that you can go through and watch. It got all type of different stuff in it. Scary stuff, other stuff about pharmaceuticals and other stuff about farming. And man, just be careful out there, man, and make sure you know what you're putting in your body to the best of your ability, man. To the best of your ability. Human flesh and vegetarian hot dogs? Till next time, man, self-love and positivity. Fire Squad, I got you and you know it. Whew.